Oh, I'm 100% humidity. I was gonna say it's early in the morning, but it's not. It's like 12:30 in the afternoon, but we have some tires. I've always thought it was interesting when they just wrap these up, slap a shipping label on them, and send them to you without a box. Two wheelchairs we're gonna work on today. The F3 I'm sitting in right now, and we're gonna put tires on the bounder. Probably not gonna go too in depth with the bounder and the tires. Actually, maybe we are. I need to take some measurements of the wheels and figure out the back spacing and the offset and a whole bunch of things. First though, I am going to wake up because as you can tell, yeah, I'll be back in a few minutes. So I've been running these, not these, but similar Sun F aero pattern tires for the last year and a half. Well, I switched to this new tread pattern. The rubber compound seems a lot, well, it seemed a lot harder. You can, anyways, the tread lugs are bigger, and there seems to be more surface area. I realized after that flat tire scenario a month or so ago, I said I was gonna do urethane filled foam tires. But right now, I'm just, in the interest of getting this thing back online, I just ordered some tires. Don't worry, this isn't gonna be a super long video. Last time I did tires on this chair, I believe the video was 51 minutes long, so we shan't be doing that. But while I've got the wheels off of here, I was chatting with a friend yesterday, and I think we've come up with a game plan to get some new wheels that are single piece and some different tires that are more of a highway tread. So when we pull the tires off this thing, I'm going to take a bunch of measurements of the wheels, measure the back spacing, the center line, the offset, all that stuff, and also the hubs. So we've got all the numbers we need to get some new wheels. I think we're going to stick with the 6-inch wheels for now. But yeah, anyways. I want to get these things on here, get this chair back online. We're having nice weather. I want to go explore. I am, however, trying to figure out where to work on these chairs. I've been cleaning up the garage. It's a little bit better out there, but the floor is filthy and it's full of spiders and ants. I think what I might do, I've got some big rubber mats. I think I might drag one of those in here and just work on these chairs right here in the atrium, whatever this room is. I don't know what to call this area. It's like sort of dining room, sort of living room, sort of entryway. Yeah, I'll be back in a little bit. I'll figure out what I'm doing here and then we'll get this knocked out. By the way, apparently they redesigned my inhaler, one of them again. Who in their right mind would make this? Well, other than the fact that it's super slippery plastic, look what happens when you try to use it. So my thumbs work good. I usually hook my finger on the top and then use my thumb to push it up. Every time. I tried using it and I punched myself in the face. I thought I somehow chipped a tooth, but I didn't. Am I gonna have to 3D print? Yeah, there's still ants. Am I gonna have to 3D print some sort of adapter for my rescue inhaler now? Nice job, whoever company, whatever. Wait, hang on, who made this thing? Where's my grabber stick? Nice job, Fartasumical. It's some off-brand, apparently. Anyways, complaint of the day. Okay, I'm in full-on just let's get the work done mode right now. In here's not a good idea. This is a floating floor, and the more I run around on it, the more I can hear these, whatever this stuff is, moving around. So I figured the floor in here can't be made much better or worse than it already is, and it's linoleum, so meh. I just threw the bounder right here. I've got the jack under the back of it. Got a pile of tools here. I'm charging the drill battery just because I haven't charged it in a while and I don't want it to die halfway through. I want to minimize the number of times I have to get from the floor back into my chair. But yeah, so we're gonna rip these tires off of here. I'm gonna grab the iPad and take some photos, make a bunch of measurements, document all this stuff really well. My plan is not right now. I mean, I'm gonna get the tires on this chair, but my plan is to get all the measurements and everything so we can figure out what the back spacing is and hopefully be able to publish all this information and tell people, hey look, these are the wheels you can put on this thing. And I've got, let's see, a friend loaned me a Douglas, I think it's a Blue Label. Oh yeah, it's a Blue Label. Hang on. Copyrighted music. So a friend is really into go-karts and mini bikes, and I wouldn't mind getting some wheels like this for the Bounder, but I think this bolt pattern is actually compatible with this chair. The hubs on here have two different bolt patterns, so what we're gonna do is get these off, properly measure them, and then, yeah. I think this, I mean, this is way too big. This is an 8-inch wheel, or 10-inch wheel, actually. But I think this bolt pattern, which is 4-on-4, should go right on the chair. And if that's the case, I can get all kinds of 6-inch go-kart wheels. 6x6 or 6x5. Actually, even 6x4 would probably work. Anyways, I'm gonna get this thing ripped apart real quick, and then we'll get some measurements done. Alright, I'm not gonna go through this process, but just cover a few of the basic safety points. These things use split wheels, but the same bolts that hold the wheels on the chair also hold the two halves of the wheels together. Long story short, make sure you drain all the air out of these tires before you touch any of these bolts. Alright, there we go. One tire and wheel setup. As you can see, our wear pattern is pretty heavy on this side. I did adjust the camber on this chair a while back, but just kind of the nature of how this all works, you're always going to get wear on the inside of these tires. It's a lot better than it used to be, but you can see this rubber compound is pretty soft, and this arrow type pattern doesn't have a lot of contact surface area on the tread, so you pretty quickly begin wearing on the bottom part of the tire here. Now if we compare this to the new ones, you can see here that there's a lot more surface area on the tread, and the tread depth is a lot deeper than these were even when they were new. Now, as far as the actual size, they look pretty close to about the same. They're gonna flare out a little bit in width when I get them on here. But yeah, this rubber compound, well, it is still pretty soft. But anyways, like I said, all I care about is getting this chair back online right now for the nice weather. We're going to worry about the rest of this later on. As you can see here, we've got two different bolt patterns on this thing. And if we burn an inch here, looks like it's 3.75. It's kind of hard to measure with this hub. Let's just, let's try this. Okay, so you can't really see, but 4-on-4 is larger than this larger bolt pattern. So, yeah, stuff. I'm going to get some photos of this with the iPad here, and then we're going to mark up this stuff with the Apple Pencil and get all my measurements and everything on here. Okay, I'm going to continue on with this. I'm going to get a few photos, document stuff, and then we're going to work on getting these swapped over. Yeah, I might try today and see if I can find an easy way to replace these spacers. Well, here, I'll just show you in a minute what the problem is right now. And by the way, before you mention it, I'm in the middle of editing the video right now. I did try putting the tires on without that plastic spacer in the middle. The problem we run into is if the mating surface of the inside of the wheel is too far into the tire, it'll interfere with the drive chains. Obviously, you would be able to mount these tires on other types of vehicles and, you know, use like a 4-inch wheel on a 6-inch tire and it wouldn't be a problem. But I did try it on this, and when I was going through the footage editing it, I was like, oh, I should probably mention that. Because there's a couple shots where it looks like, why'd you put the spacer in? You could have just left it out. So, yeah, anyways, there you go. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to make these play music. They just go on and on and on. All right, here's what I'm talking about with the spacers. These are sort of universal wheels that come with the chair, and what it does is it allows you to put their, get these out of here, it allows you to put their little narrow stock solid tires on here, as well as the much wider off-road tires. But the problem is these spacers are plastic, and I've had these tires on and off of here enough times. You can see the plastic is starting to fatigue and bend and stuff like that. So as you tighten these down, the two halves of the wheel are not exactly the same with each other. So then you get them on the chair and the tire wobbles. Well, yeah, I'm kind of running this thing off label with these giant tires and stuff. But anyways, I'm gonna get all this out of here, take some more measurements, and then we'll get the new tires jammed on. Okay, so we've got most of our measurements here, and I was able to use this spacer here to get our bolt pattern measurement. But I've got pictures of this, and then the outer bolt pattern is 3.5 inches. The inner one is 2 3/4, and then our back spacing is 1 5/8 inch. And there's just a picture of the overall hub. So using these measurements now, we should be able to figure out what compatible wheels we can put on here. I have measured the distance from the ground up to the top of the fender, and then also the space between the back edge of the tire and the inside of the chair here. And yeah, I think that's all the measurements we're going to need for now. I've actually got it documented this time. So yeah, let's get to putting some new tires on. I've been looking at this spacer and this little guy here. I think I'm going to omit this. After looking at the way the halves of this fit together, if we put it with the open side up, the contact area is just inside this rim, which means when we tighten down the bolts, we're going to be flexing against this part. And if you look real close, you can see we've got some indentations here, which means it's going to compress unevenly and make the wheel wobble. But if we use this half and we put it on here, it's a little bit wider, and you can see that our mating surface is just touching the edge of this. So I think I'm going to omit that white part and set this up so that the open side is facing up. And you can see our fitment is a lot closer there. And again, with these wheels and tires, since the two halves are held together with the same bolts that hold it onto the chair, all I have to do is get the bolts not even snug, just in there so they're just barely touching. Then when you inflate the tire, it pushes out and expands and basically pulls these two halves apart, which will lock the bolts onto the hub. So I think we're going to do that. And we're just not going to use this, because this thing lands somewhere in the middle, and I don't think we need the extra, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Yeah, I don't think we need the extra 1/4 inch. I don't even know if those are supposed to be in there. They were in there when I got it originally, but yeah, whatever. So we're going to go that route and see how it works. It's super easy to tell if you've gotten it correct. All you do is put the tires on, fire up the motors, and watch the wheels wobble. Yeah, so there we go. That's my answer for now. And I will, actually, let me measure these. And the inside of the wheels too. And I'm going to see about getting one of these made out of aluminum or something like that. Okay, we've got our tires mounted on here. I just loosely put each one on there. I filled it up to 30 psi to seat the bead. And now I'm going to spin up this tire and we'll see if we have any wobble. Oh, excellent. I think we got it. Let me move the tire here, or move the camera a little bit. Now we do have a little bit of wobble, but like, it's totally within spec. I mean, we're fine. Look at this. So yeah, itty bitty bit of wobble. I am not concerned about that at all. We are doing great. We've got pretty narrow clearance right here, but we should be okay. I've got these adapters that I made on here to adjust the ride height. We're gonna have to play around with that a little bit. These are not quite as wide as the other tires, even though they're the same numbers on paper, which is fine. I would actually prefer to have tires like this that are a little bit narrower. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let the air back out.
I usually do that just to make sure there aren't any air bubbles around between the tube and the tire. Then also I've got a bottle of tire slime. I'm going to put half of that in there. And then, yeah, I think we're ready to hit the other side of this thing. Luckily, these bottles of tire slime come with a valve stem removal tool built into the cap. There, you can see it right there. So all we got to do is stick this in here, remove our valve stem, let the air out, and we're ready to fill. Be very careful, this will shoot into your eyeball if you're not paying attention. There we go. There, see? Valve stem. We moved on to the other side now. I always use Kenda brand tubes. They're a little bit more expensive. They're maybe 18 bucks each. But I really like the quality of these things. And anytime I've gotten flat tires, they seem to work really well with the tire slime. So I'm going to stick with these guys. There's other ones out there, but the rubber doesn't feel nearly as substantial and blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, these are my favorite for sure. Okay, well, of course, the second I get done praising Kenda tubes, there's something wrong with the tube on this side. I cannot get any tire slime to go in there. I even went so far as to grab the Mighty Vac and try to pull a vacuum on it. There's something up with this stem. Pressure can go in and a little bit can come out, but yeah, it's blocked somehow. I even tried jamming a stiff piece of wire down in there, and I can just barely get it to go in there, but yeah, I don't know. So, I guess we're going to run this side without tire slime, and just try to remember that. Yeah, weird. Okay, not only is the bounder back online, but the ride height adapters I made on the back, which actually I don't think I've showed yet. Anyways, I was able to adjust the rear height, or the rear shocks down, which raises the rear suspension a little bit. Conversely, I need to adjust the front wheels a little bit to level this thing out, but that's super easy to do. But now the shock absorbers are adjusted in the range that they're supposed to be. The ride quality is awesome, and we have clearance on the fenders. I can just get a finger in there. So yeah, I think we're good. Excellent. Okay, maiden voyage was successful. Actually, I don't even know how far I went. I didn't look on the map. It's probably a few miles. But yeah, bounder's working good. And when I don't have the rear suspension all jacked up to try and get more ground clearance, it actually works the way it's supposed to. Funny how that is. Yeah, I just cranked the shocks all the way down, or as tight as they would go, and the springs were just basically collapsed on each other. And I was trying to do that to get more ground clearance for the bigger tires, but yeah, that's not the way to do it. Link to that video up above somewhere where we took those apart and kind of inspected them and whatnot. Oh, that was the video where I got the flat tire, actually. Yeah. All right, well, anyways, I'm gonna put my food away. Okay, focus. Made it back from the maiden voyage in the bounder with the new tires and everything on it. So, all the neighbors in this neighborhood are nice. I just found out, though, that I should never leave the garage open even for like 3 minutes. Someone just walked into the house. It's not anyone that lives like right next to me or anything. It was someone from further down the road. So, yeah, interesting note. Okay, let me show you the adapters here I was talking about. All right, this is a very crude implementation just for testing purposes, but I made these little angle brackets that go on here and allows me to bolt the shock through here, and then the mount that it goes through is up here. Now this is sort of a fork arrangement that comes out, so I've got a spacer in there so I can clamp the bolt down tight. But what I'm doing is I've got a stack of washers right here that goes over the top of this fork, and I can add or remove washers to effectively change the angle of this. Now, it's not the I don't know, it's not the best way to do this, but it's just sort of a temporary way so that I can test and adjust which ride height, or, you know, if I want to change the ride height, basically, it allows sort of an easy way to do that. And then once I get that figured out where I want it, then I'm going to actually make some brackets here that are solid, and I don't have to worry about them moving up and down. Because without these washers here, we're just relying on the clamping load of these bolts, and this is just basically a pivot arm that goes up and down. But for now, it works good. I think our ride height is pretty decent. I can get my hand in here. These tires are probably a 1/4 inch smaller than the ones I had on here previously, which, diameter. I have a 1/4 inch more space here. Maybe it's closer to a 1/2 inch. And probably 1/4 inch of space more here than I did before. However that works out to diameter or whatever. As far as camber goes, we're looking pretty good. These tires, I guess it makes a difference that I took out those spacers that were inside the wheels. But these ones seem just a tiny bit narrower than the old ones did. Why do I have my brakes on? But yeah, it's nice having the suspension on this thing actually set up so that the springs are not completely tight and they actually work as they were designed. These tires have a crazy amount of grip. So one of my motion sensors alerted me that someone was in the driveway, so I went to go out to the window and look. You may notice the tread pattern on these tires is pretty aggressive. When you're on the carpet, not possible to turn at all. I kind of figured that would be the case when I bought these, but this chair is going to spend basically, well, however much time I was in there trying to turn around the carpet, and that'll be all. You can go straight and you can back up, but turning, not so much. It's an outdoor chair. I wouldn't recommend this sort of tire tread on an indoor chair. Which, incidentally, 2 days after I bought these tires, I was actually looking for something more with highway tread on it. 2 days after I bought them, Sun F came out with a new tread pattern that was more of a highway tread, which I definitely would have purchased, but whatever. I didn't want to wait another week and a half to get them delivered. It's going to be outdoors, so who cares? We'll worry about that later on down the road. I kind of forgot how much work it is to swap the tires on this thing, so we're not going to be working on the F3 that I'm sitting in today. That'll probably be a few days from now. I'm not going to put it off. I do still need to take it apart and figure out what's going on with the brushes and why it's making the weird noises, but yeah. I think just bounded tires are going to be the main theme of today's video, and I think we're pretty much done with that. It works. Yay. Now I just need to figure out some routes around this part of town so I can get to where I'm going. And yeah, should be great. So I think what I'm trying to say is that's all for today. And/or thanks for watching. All that generic stuff you're supposed to say at the end of the videos. But yeah, I'll see you in a few days. Yeah.